Hello everyone, welcome back to Baskar Bricks, and today I thought we'd take a little bit of a break from LEGO Star Wars and focus on sets from before LEGO Star Wars was even a thing. So today we're going to be taking a look at my 5 oldest sets that I own. Now most of these sets you can just get on eBay for like 10 to 20 bucks if you know what you're looking for, but I still think they're kind of cool to take a look at, so let's get right into it. So what we're going to be taking a look at is this small little classic space set. Now, this set came out in 1985, making approximately 37 years old, and this is called the Space Dozer, and it is set 6847. Now essentially what this set is a glorified bulldozer of sorts. You know, I call it a space dozer, that's what it is. There's a lot of really interesting design choices on this model, as you can see. It looks very 80s sci-fi, right? I mean, that's essentially what I get from this, with a lot of the weird design choices on this, and all of the consoles, especially with this radar dish. Essentially what all that you can do in this set is place a minifigure on it, store some accessories, move around the radar dish, and most importantly, pick things up in this bucket, which I believe is actually a cockpit, not a traditional bucket that other city sets would have. And it's a cool thing that I actually do have 2 sets from this year. I chose this one because I think it's the cooler one. It's just a neat little novelty. Now, if you look at the, the classic space minifigure, this is the yellow classic space minifigure. Sadly, the only one. I only have yellow guys. I definitely need to get more color variation, but this is a good looking minifigure. These guys just look sick. This guy does have the thick chin strap. He should have, I believe, the non-thick chin strap, so that is an inaccuracy with this guy, but you know, that's very common when buying classic space. They very rarely have the correct chin strap, but yeah, just a cool little set. Definitely it has aged in today's standards like all these sets have, but it's just a cool little thing to have. That's kind of about it. Alright, so here's our next set. It is once again a classic space set and looks very familiar. It has a very similar color scheme to the one that we just previously looked at. It's only a few years older. This is set 6823 Surface Transport from 1983, making it approximately 39 years old. Now, well, the classic space minifigure is, it's supposed to be the same as the last one, though this guy does have the appropriate chin strap, so I'll just get him out of the way. Not going to talk too much about him, we just did. So essentially what this vehicle is, it's a very small transport. It fits just about one minifigure, and it has this cool joint in the middle which can be moved around. So there's a lot of maneuverability with this model. There's some accessories in here. There's an antenna, and there's this really cool, like, what do you call it? Like it detects metals and such in the ground. There's some cool little details. Essentially what the main thing here is that there's this little compartment in the back to store, like, I don't know, space rocks or something. And that's just about it. Once again, it's honestly a cool little thing. Considering how small it is, I think there's some good play value in this. Once again, it's just mostly just a cool little novelty. It's neat. Oh, he fell over. Whoops. That's just about it. Let's go on to the next thing. Alright, so now we're on to number 3 in our list. And number 3 is set 6630 Bucket Loader from 1981, making this approximately 41 years old. Now this is a construction style set. It comes with one classic construction worker minifigure with that classic blue suit there and that torso printing with this little hard hat on. Very cute looking minifigure. The build itself, considering its size, actually does its job very well. There are 2 spots on the back to hold accessories, and there are 2 accessories included in this set. There's a nice little light at the top there. We have these cool industrial looking tires, a spot to put a minifigure, and most importantly, the bucket. Now this is there's some 2 molds here for the bucket, and both of which are pretty cool. So at the top, you'll see these little levers which can be used to raise and lower the bucket, which work well. This bucket can actually, be raised up to a degree, and it kind of fell down there, so sorry. It's cool. It does its job well. You can move it around, and you can lift up the bucket, and you can move things around. That's just about it, and it does its job well considering its size. So it's a cool little thing to have. The minifigure here for me is probably the coolest part, but it's just a neat little set to have. Alright, so here's our next set. This is a set that is actually the same age as the last one, also 41 years old approximately, but it just looks like it came out a little bit sooner and has a lower set number. So this is set 6602 Fire Unit 1. Now this is from the day where LEGO Now, not everything was minifigure scale. Lego did this thing where they included a little micro car and a minifigure in a set. So you'd have a little micro car, a minifigure go along with it, but the minifigure is not necessarily scaled to the vehicle. And that's what this is. Now, I haven't shown this on the channel yet because some of the stickers look a little bit rough in this villain, as you will see throughout this, but they're there, and there's not really much to say about this. What you're seeing is really what you're getting. The minifigure is cool too. There's sadly a little bit of wrinkles there and the sticker on his torso, but he looks cool. This is just, once again, like all these sets, a cool little thing to have. This probably holds up the worst out of all of them because, why would you in today's standards, we'd never include a minifigure with a set that isn't scaled to it, right? Unless it's like a UCS set or something big. It's just a neat little thing, but besides that, let's just move on to the next thing. Alright, here we are at number 1. Now this is the oldest set that I own by a long shot. The last set that we looked at was 41 years old. This set is 64 years old. This is set 343. This is Ferry. That's what it's called, just Ferry. It is a ferry that can transport both trains and just cars. And this is set, it's set 343 like we just discussed, and this came out in 1968, the same year as the White Album. Yeah, this is one of the more obscure things in my collection. It's because the really only thing what makes this cool is its age, because visually it is absolutely nothing special, and especially since I have this weird, the base plate on mine is weird, which I kind of explain more in my review, but essentially you lift up the sides and let vehicles, and that's all this is. It's just to go with other vehicles. On its own, it doesn't really do much. Now, what is so cool about this is not the ferry itself, but it's this, which is most of the box. I say most, I want to say about like that much is missing. This is most of the box, which is, for me as a fan of old Lego, is just absolutely mind-blowing to own. I'm incredibly grateful that I found this. I just found this at like a retro toy convention. That's how I got this, and I think I got it for like 30 bucks, which to get a Lego, you know, I love Lego boxes. To have one that is 64 years old is truly mind-blowing, considering that I don't have a box for any of the other sets that we just looked at. So the fact that my oldest one I do have a box of is really cool, and I'm sure you'll see that a lot of things have changed on these pictures, and probably the coolest thing for me is that about this box that we get to see the old Lego logo on it, which is really cool to see. It's even, I think all of these sets show a logo that is very much looks like the one that we have nowadays. Maybe some very slight changes, but this is the only one where you can see significant changes. And with that out of the way, that is all of my top 5 oldest sets in my collection. I know most of these aren't really something to go nuts about. Once again, you can get them on eBay for like 10 to 20 bucks if you know what you're looking for. Yeah, with that, everyone, that's gonna do it for today's video. If you enjoyed today's video, maybe consider, of course, leaving a like if you did. And if you want to see more of my content, of course, subscribe. And with that, everyone, I'm gonna sign off.